Welcome to the channel. With the latest automotive news from around the world, we have tried to select for you the most interesting news from the last few days. And so let's get started. Ford might be cooking up an off-road supercar, and we're here for it. Ford has made it clear that it wants to be the Porsche of off-road performance. And with the Raptor lineup, the F-150, Ranger, and Bronco, it's already well on its way. But what if Ford decided to take things even further? How far could they push off-road performance before it just becomes completely bonkers? Well, it seems that Ford's top executives are asking themselves that exact question. In an interview with Top Gear, Ford CEO Jim Farley hinted that something big might be in the works. We're in the middle of creating something, so we don't have all the answers yet. But the question is, should Ford make an off-road supercar? Not a version of a car, a standalone supercar. That's right, not another Raptor truck, not an off-road Mustang, but a full-blown off-road supercar, a Baja-blasting, Dakar-dominating supercar. Ford has two very different paths it could take here. On one hand, its history at Dakar suggests this could be a hyper-capable off-road machine, something like a street-legal Baja monster. On the other hand, Ford's GT program hints at something much closer to a traditional supercar, just lifted, armored, and ready to launch over sand dunes. Then there's the branding question. Does Ford make this some kind of Mustang Raptor, tying it to its muscle car heritage? Or does it lean into its truck DNA and create something completely new? Either way, Ford performance boss Mark Rushbrook seems to think there's a real opportunity here. We love that we have an F-150, Bronco, and Ranger Raptor, but we can do more. The Raptor T1 Plus at Dakar represents the ultimate Raptor in many ways, and we're learning a lot from that. How crazy could this get? Given that Ford already charges deep into six figures for the Mustang GTD, the question now is, how far can they push a Super Raptor? A mid-engine, twin-turbo, carbon fiber dune basher, a 700 horsepower, hybrid off-road monster with rally-spec suspension? Whatever it is, Ford seems serious about the idea, and we're ready to see just how far they'll take it. Aston Martin Valkyrie takes on Le Mans, but with less firepower, right? Listen up. Aston Martin has decided that merely making one of the most extreme road cars on the planet isn't enough. No, now they want to take that very car, strip it down, and throw it into the grueling battlefield of Le Mans. The Valkyrie, a 6.5-liter V12 shrieking hypercar, is heading to endurance racing, and it's bringing some serious attitude. Though, ironically, a little less horsepower. Because here's the kicker, the race version is actually less powerful than the road car. Yes, you heard that right. The street-legal Valkyrie wails up to 11,000 RPM and produces over 1,000 horsepower. But because of FIA's hypercar regulations, Aston Martin has had to detune it to just 671 horsepower. That's like making Usain Bolt run a marathon in steel-toed boots. He's still quick, but it's not exactly the full experience. Why detune perfection? According to Aston Martin's endurance motorsport boss, Adam Carter, it's all about fuel efficiency. Regulations demand a cap on power output. So rather than just hacking away at performance, Aston has reworked the engine to make more torque at lower revs, increasing efficiency and reducing fuel consumption. Because, you know, finishing the race is just as important as going fast, apparently. But the Valkyrie is still a proper Adrian Newey designed machine. Yes, that Adrian Newey, the genius behind Red Bull's dominant F1 cars. And while the aerodynamics have been tamed slightly to meet race regulations, make no mistake, this thing is still going to look like a spaceship that somehow ended up at Le Mans instead of Mars. Race Spec Valkyrie, built for battle. Aston Martin isn't just showing up for the party. They've built a monster for endurance racing. The car gets quick change front and rear bodywork for rapid pit stops, a single-point rapid refueling system, pneumatic jacks built into the chassis because, obviously, it deserves the pit crew treatment of an F1 car 18-inch race spec wheels wrapped in Michelin rubber because FIA says no to the 20s and 21s of the road car. The campaign is being led by the heart of racing, Thor, the same team that's run Aston's GT3 program. They'll be fielding 2 Valkyries in the FIA WEC and a third in IMSA, with the US car debuting at the Sebring 12 Hours in March. Audi's naming scheme, U-turn, because apparently even Audi got confused. Audi, a brand known for impeccable engineering, gorgeous interiors, and apparently some of the most baffling naming decisions in automotive history. Just 2 years ago, they announced a bold new system, odd numbers for gas cars, even numbers for EVs. Simple, right? Logical even. But now, scrap that. It's all going back to the old way because, and I quote, people didn't get it. So what's happening? Instead of using numbers to differentiate between electron-powered Audis and petrol-snorting ones, they've decided to stick with the old-school e-tron for EVs and TFSI for gas-powered cars. Meanwhile, in Europe, the TDI badge will continue to signal diesel powertrains because we all know how much fun those are. Chaos in the model lineup. Here's where it gets even more amusing. Under the old plan, the next-gen A6 was set to become the A7 because it was gas-powered. The logic? The EV version of the A6 would keep the A6 name, so Audi wanted to shift the internal combustion version up a notch. Now, forget that idea. It's just the A6 again, and it gets worse. The new A5 is still called A5, despite actually replacing the A4. And there's no A4 Coupe or Sportback, meaning the A5 is now basically an A4 but not, except maybe it isn't. Who knows? Not Audi, that's for sure. Why the sudden change? Audi claims this U-turn is all thanks to customer feedback. Apparently, dealers and buyers were getting lost in the new naming system, as if understanding A4 equals small, A6 equals bigger, A8 equals executive spaceship was some sort of ancient magic only understood by Audi engineers. Ironically, this attempt to simplify things may have made everything even more confusing. The biggest takeaway: Audi's models will now follow their original size-based numbering, and if it's electric, it gets an e-tron tag. If it drinks petrol, it'll be marked TFSI. That means the gas-powered A6 stays the A6, and the A6 e-tron is still the A6 e-tron, which is much easier to understand than whatever madness they had planned before. What happens next? Beyond the upcoming launch of the new A6 on March 4th, nobody really knows how this will affect future models. Will we get a new A4, or will the A5 just continue pretending to be one? Is Audi secretly flipping a coin every time they name a car? Anything is possible at this point. One thing's for sure, Audi's marketing department has had a very bad week. Well, if you've managed to sit through that and actually enjoyed it, do the decent thing. Whack that thumbs up button like it just insulted your favorite car. And for heaven's sake, subscribe. Otherwise, you'll miss out on more of this brilliance. And let's be honest, you don't want that, do you?